Well, only a few more weeks until the release of Alien Covenant, Ridley Scott's prequel to the Alien saga. And also a sequel to Prometheus, which was also a prequel to Alien, meaning the movie's both a sequel to a prequel and a prequel to a movie that's already had a whole bunch of sequels. Plus there's rumors they might make another sequel movie, but it'll only be a sequel to the first sequel and ignore the other sequels, but will still be a sequel to the prequels, but maybe not the Alien vs. Predator movies, which were also prequels, but those came out before Prometheus, meaning that's actually a sequel to these prequels and is now getting its own sequel, which is also a prequel to the original, which might be getting a sequel that might not actually be a sequel to some of the other sequels. Okay, point is there's another Alien movie coming out. So with that in mind, let's take a look back at the legacy of the original movie. Not by looking at the actual films, mind you, but at the various cash-ins it inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for Alien Month. The original Alien is widely considered one of the greatest sci-fi horror movies ever made, and it was a huge success at the box office, so naturally, it inspired a ton of imitators. Which is appropriate, considering Alien was actually inspired by several earlier sci-fi movies itself. Over the years, Alien has had so many knockoffs and variants that there's no way I could possibly cover all of them. So instead, I've decided to pick some obvious and not so obvious choices for this month. And what better way to start off than by looking at possibly the most infamous Alien cash-in of them all, 1981's Galaxy of Terror, produced by none other than B-movie kingpin Roger Corman. And Roger Corman's got a particular attachment to Alien because originally, he was supposed to produce it. That's right, once Alien screenwriter Dan O'Bannon had a finished script, Roger Corman was supposedly one of the first people he sent it to. But when O'Bannon got an offer from 20th Century Fox to make the movie instead, Corman thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll just make my own version of Alien. And so in 1981 he made Galaxy of Terror, as well as several other Alien knockoffs over the years. Roger Corman was really pissed he didn't get to produce Alien. Oops, looks like I put in Corman's knockoff of The Terminator by mistake. Nothing says get ready for terror like including some sound effects from the arcade version. Seriously though, I joke, but this opening credit sequence actually does a decent job of setting a foreboding atmosphere. The intro teases us with a guy getting attacked by something on a spaceship, although by the looks of it, they forgot to put the special effects in this scene. Either that or he's getting fucked by the invisible ghost from Poltergeist. Meanwhile, on planet Those Aren't the Continents, we see a weird witch lady playing video games with a guy who appears to have a sun for a head. You know, just like an alien. Man, they were right. Other than Zelda, the Nintendo Switch really doesn't have much to offer. After losing contact with the ship from the beginning, Sunface here orders a rescue team to be sent out to investigate. Looks like it's time to meet our crew.
Who are you? What are you doing at my station?
Ilva, mission commander. Welcome, Captain.
Ancillary systems checked?
Yes,
Fine. Seconds wasted here costing lives on Morgantha.
She's a little less Ellen Ripley and more Nurse Ratched. But hey, maybe she's a good pilot.
All crew, this is Trantor. Lift off in 30 seconds.
But Captain, no one's prepared.
They've got 30 seconds to get prepared.
No need to double check anything. I mean, we're only going out into space. And why is she giving this guy orders? He's the one who looks like Emperor Palpatine. You can tell this is going to be a scary movie since Freddy Krueger's one of the crew members. In fact, this whole cast is weird, since we've also got Captain Spaulding, Joni Cunningham, Red Shoe Diaries, and My Favorite Martian going along for the ride. It's almost like they looked at the cast of Without Warning and said, we can do weirder than that. In any case, they better buckle up if they want to continue being in this movie. And then they all died because they forgot to check the airlocks. But, hey, at least they did it fast. After liftoff, they take a shortcut through the 2001 A Space Odyssey ending, and hey, what do you know? Less than 10 minutes in and they're already at the planet. This movie moves almost as fast as the pilot does. However, something goes wrong and the ship starts to crash.
Baby. Only happened. Nothing I can do.
In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have rushed everything so much, but hey, live and learn, right? I mean, we won't live because we're about to crash, but at least we learned something. And hey, if you're gonna die, might as well play a little Tempest first. They're saved at the last second when the ship mysteriously slows down, so I guess they picked Trantor as pilot because she's the luckiest person in the world.
Well, Commander, I got you here.
You sure did. Yeah, but seriously, you ever do anything that reckless again, and I'm gonna make sure you're not even allowed to pilot a tricycle, capiche? Well, there wasn't enough in the budget to afford helmets. Sure hope there's no diseases on this planet. And I think you're a little too late to rescue anybody. Alright, everybody relax. It's just a jump scare. Yeah, congratulations, you killed him again. At least Sid Haig came prepared. He brought along his Crystal Pepsi throwing stars. Those'll come in handy with all the other jump scares on this ship. But uh-oh, looks like they landed on the planet of the Harryhausen. Again, I joke, but this movie is actually pretty good at setting a creepy mood. Or at least it was until the Circus Castlevania music kicked in. This guy looks pretty shaken up, but don't worry, pal. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, tough luck dying first, kid, but that's what you get for not bringing any black crew members along.
If it weren't so gruesome, it'd be fascinating.
Fuck that, I'm watching an 80s exploitation movie. You're supposed to be gruesome. See? The director of the movie gets it. After seeing something weird on their scanners, they decide to go out and investigate and find a weird pyramid structure in the distance. And I gotta say, for a low-budget alien cash-in made in the early 80s, this is not a bad-looking movie. I guess it helps that the movie's production designer was none other than James Cameron, back when he actually knew how to stretch a buck instead of spending more money than God on a movie. In fact, the look of this movie actually has a strong resemblance to Aliens, which was directed by James Cameron. That's right, everybody. We have an alien cash-in that actually serves as a bridge between what it's cashing in on and its official sequel. They make their way up the pyramid, and the commander's getting so scared he can only speak in poems.
Doubt. His brother demon to despair.
Awesome Black Sabbath lyric. And wait a second, he has to rappel down a shaft while monsters attack him from caves? Shit, I always hated these levels in Battletoads. The commander ends up getting offed by some weird tentacle monsters, but look on the bright side. If this was a Japanese horror movie, this scene could have gone a lot worse. These two have the right idea, though. Just stay on the ship and drink.
You know what they say, Cook. The master sends meat, but the devil sends cooks.
Yeah, well, Confucius say man who stand on toilet is high on pot. And probably so were the people who wrote this. Man, this movie's trying so hard to be alien, it looks like they stepped inside one of H.R. Giger's production drawings. They managed to find an alternate entrance into the pyramid. Turns out they just had to go in the front door this whole time. And, oh, what? Sid Haig broke his throwing stars? He had to send in like 5 cereal box tops to get those. Well, on the bright side, at least now they can snort the remains and finish the movie. And if you've been thinking Sid Haig's been kinda quiet so far...
I live and I die by the crystals.
And that's his only line in the entire movie. If Rob Zombie had directed this, he would have called somebody a motherfucker at least a dozen times by now. Sid stays behind while the others explore inside, and when he said that he lives and dies by the crystals, he meant it. This is what happens when a hippie finally wears too much patchouli. You start hallucinating crystals under your skin. Not only that, but you're also killed by more surprisingly well-done effect shots. Damn, Sid Haig was just 2 days from his second line. Ah well, how are the others doing?
Let's get out of here.
Wait a minute. It's like when
I
cars...
said let's get out
Enough,
of here.
Bellon!
Enough. What do you know of enough? When have you ever had enough?
You know, for the guy who created Red Shoe Diary, Zalman King sure acts like he hasn't been laid in a while. They might want to hurry up and get out of there. The effects look like they're starting to expire. Oh, never mind, they're still in the movie. Oh, and remember earlier with the tentacles when I said it could always be worse? Well, it's about to get worse. Yeah, if you thought maggots were gross before, how about when they grow to giant size and go straight up Bill Cosby on your ass? Oh, and here's a fun fact about this scene. Originally, Roger Corman wanted the movie to have a giant maggot and a sex scene. And somewhere along the way he went, I know, let's just put them together. So if you've ever wanted to see a movie where a woman gets raped by a giant maggot, then what in the hell is wrong with you? I think what's most disturbing about this scene is that there's probably a real fetish for this kind of thing. Hopefully things are going better on the ship. What the hell? You mean Trantor would rather play video games than do her job? Who the hell does she think she is? Me? And I think all this gaming may be messing with her head. She seems completely unconcerned with safety, even more so than before. Well, at least it gives Robert Englund a chance to do the alien running around corridors shot. You see, video games can cause violence in real life. That's why the first time I played Super Mario Bros., I immediately started jumping on every turtle I could find. Back at the pyramid, the other crew members find out that at least the maggot appears to have had a good time. Damn it, Zalman, don't burn her! She's one of the main reasons people went to see this movie! Now that you've seen how far Corman is willing to go with this movie, you should probably head back to the ship.
It's obvious there are no survivors from the Remus. Let's fix the ship and go home.
Something you should have said several horrific deaths ago. Suggesting they leave is the smartest thing anyone said the whole movie, so naturally, they all decide to go back to the pyramid. Yeah, I'll bet I know what Ray Walston is thinking right now.
What are you people? On dope?
And come on, guys, there's gotta be a better way inside than going through the pyramid's butthole.
I'm not going down in there, Cabron. It's too tight.
Stop, you're making it worse. But everything they've seen so far is nothing compared to the terror they encounter next. Roger Corman presents Galaxy of McDonald's Playpens. Thankfully they don't end up in a ball pit, since in this movie that'd probably be a literal pit of flesh-eating testicle monsters.
What a magnificent piece of work.
I know, that James Cameron guy is gonna be big. Zalman King seems a little on edge. He's almost starting to incinerate living people for no reason.
Go ahead, I'll catch up.
I got a good feeling about being alone in this place. Whoops, I was wrong. Right now, Zalman's wishing this was all just an erotic letter being read by David Duchovny. That helped to explain this part.
There's nowhere to go. I hate this place. I hate it.
So then leave! You haven't found any survivors and more than half of you have been horribly killed. I think people will understand why you didn't stay longer. Plus, the remaining crew members seem to be getting a little testy.
I said quit playing the master with your friends, Cabron. I'm shredding myself with my own bloody fingernails. Did you know that? Do you even care?
Okay, relax, Robert. In a few years, you'll get cast as Freddy Krueger and become horror movie royalty, while this guy'll have to settle for being in Fist Fighter 2. And did they just wander into the tabernacle from Zardoz now? What the hell is happening? Shit, I knew about Freddy vs. Jason, but I never knew they made Freddy vs. Freddy. Congratulations, you brought a gun to a knife fight and you still lost, dummy. So while Robert fights his double, or whoever the hell this guy is, Aluma runs into some trouble herself. And considering how the maggot scene went, I do not like where this seems to be going. Oh, she only got killed instead of being raped first. Yay? Well, we can't turn back now. We've still got more surprisingly impressive matte paintings to see. And what the hell happened to Ray Walston?
Finished, Cabron? There has hardly been a beginning.
Now, at this point, you may be asking, what in the hell is going on? It turns out everything that's been attacking the crew are really manifestations of their greatest fears brought to life by the pyramid. We also learn that Ray Walston is actually Sunface from the beginning of the movie. Yeah, remember how that was a thing?
You already won the game. A children's game, Cabron.
Oh yeah? Well, the MPAA says otherwise, Ray. Speaking of games, don't you hate it when they make you fight all the previous bosses again before you get to the final boss? It's just a cheap way to make the game longer, you know? All the crew members also end up coming back as zombies, so if this movie ends the same way as Slaughter High, I'm gonna be pissed. But what's this? Looks like Joni loves Cobran. Okay, maybe not. Eventually, Cobran beats the Master's game, probably because he secretly entered the Contra Code. And I know this is going to be a little hard to believe, but what happens next is kind of weird. Cobran kills the Master with some lasers he fires out of his stomach, which somehow makes him the new Master, and then the movie just ends. Alright, well, considering everything that came before this, might as well end the movie on a trippy note. Most of the people watching this are probably high anyway. And what the hell happened to Robert Englund? So that's Galaxy of Terror, one of the most infamous Alien cash-ins ever made. And honestly, it's one of the better ones. Sure, the movie's clearly influenced by Alien, but much like 2019 After the Fall of New York, it's a cash-in that actually manages to be pretty original in its own right. The production values are also surprisingly high for a low-budget movie, and you can see where James Cameron got some of his ideas for the look of Aliens. On the downside, parts of the movie feel like they started filming before they had a finished script, especially the beginning and ending scenes, which almost feel like they were shoehorned in from another movie. But that doesn't really matter. Corman knows we're here to see slimy monster death scenes, and he gives us plenty of them. Say what you want about the guy, but he knew the audience for his movies. I wouldn't call this a cult classic like the Blu-ray case does, but hey, at least it didn't tell me to go fuck myself like this knockoff did. Well, that's all for now, but Alien Month is just beginning. I've got 3 more movies to go, including one made by a director who made another cash-in I've reviewed on this show. Until next time...